and welcome to Podpadstudios. I'm Mrs. Breaker and we're having a day out at the Seemonster in Western-Super-Mare. Woohoo! The Seemonster, which is being dismantled next week. What a shame.
Hi, welcome back to the T1 build. Now, as you know, phase 1 has been completed. Tiffany's done. Tiffany's finished. She has the track systems done, the upper torso's done, the guns are done. All the camera systems are built. I mean, she's finished. She's even been weathered. So, yeah, all right, I succumbed. And I've put a bit of weathering on it. And she's done. But if you remember a few weeks back or months back now, I mentioned phase 2. So I thought I might introduce now phase 2. Now, phase 2 came about with... Oh, excuse it, my computer screen has just gone off. Phase 2 came about a number of... months back when we met James from X Robots, if you remember, was up here up on the show. And for those of you that don't know, James has the most awesome channel, X Robots. He does lots of robotic things, and it's just really, really clever stuff. But one of the things he'd actually done was controlling robots, different control systems for robots, and it got me thinking. Tiffany is controlled by radio control. Now, as you know, I use the FR Sky X20S radio. I'm not controlling drones, I'm not controlling helicopters or aeroplanes, which is primarily probably what this radio is designed for. I'm controlling robots, but I tell you what, it needs to be rebranded to being a super duper radio control system to control robots, because it's awesomely good. The logic switches on this, the special functions on this, the way that you can map controls together, I've never come across anything quite like it. Certainly not within this price bracket. And I'm even thinking about maybe even not necessarily upgrading this, but changing this, keeping this. I'm not selling this, but looking at a tray radio. The only thing that I do find with this is that I'm so excited about all the controls that I can put on it that I don't have enough hands to control everything. So I maybe need this slung in front of me so I can move my hands around easily. I don't know. I'll wait until, I think FR Sky are bringing out a brand new tray radio, which I'm going to look at, and I'll do some reviews on that if I get one, or if I can get hold of one anyway. But, as I said, Tiffany is radio controlled. Now, it got me thinking, and as I said, about could she be controlled in different ways? Now, a few weeks ago watched a film called Elysium. And I don't know whether any of you have seen that film, but it's a great film. But in it, there is one of the characters uses like an Endo Sketeton, and that Endo Sketeton just got me thinking, how awesome would it be to control Tiffany with some sort of like Endo Sketeton that you could move and then she moves. So, I built one. And you can't really see it here, it's just lots of things. There's a shoulder harness and I can move arms around. So that's the mechanical part of it. Built that. I'll show you more excuse me while I fall off the camera. I'll show you more details of that one later on. However, how do I control Tiffany? Welcome to phase 2. Now, imagine if I could move my arms around, or I could move my head, or I could move my body, and she simply mimics what I do. But as I said, I'm not a robotics designer. I don't have those skills to do that. So I'm going to have to find a way to do that within my skill set. So it was interesting. I got introduced many years ago to head tracking that you can use with these, with flying drones actually. With, you can plug a head tracker in with goggles. As you move your head around, of course the camera will track and pan on the drone. All it's effectively doing is controlling a couple of channels, which moves 2 servos around. And I thought that could be interesting, but then I thought it's a bit cumbersome, and I don't want to lose the vision, because I want to be able to see the tracking systems that we've got on Tiffany. You know, as I said, she's got cameras. We can beam those to screens, and it looks really, really good. So somebody introduced me to this, and this is a little Arduino board, and I'll put some links below about what this is, but it is super, super duper awesome. Now, as you can see behind, my computer keeps going off, but the way this works is that this little Arduino, there's no coding to do, which I actually really like. What I can do with it, it contains lots of axis controllers, X, Y, Z axis. I think actually it controls up to 9 axes, whatever they are, X, Y, Z, and whatever. So basically, what I can do is I can link this to my radio, and this is the beauty of this radio. Don't need to use wires because I can use a Bluetooth link to the training system on this radio. So what that means is that this little board here, I'll just unplug it so you can see what it is. It literally is, where the lens is on this camera, it's tiny. And this little one I've got with headers on it, so it makes it easier for me to work with. But basically, once you use the piece of software that has been written for this, which you can kind of see here on the screen, again, I'll make links to all this, I can set this up to talk to or to communicate with my radio. All I've literally got to do is give it power. Now, there's lots of ways I can do that. I can plug in, you know, a USB power supply. At the moment, I've just got it linked up to my computer via the USB. But of course, the amazing thing with this is that I can then use this to control channels on my radio via my trainer. So I can simply add this tiny little board, obviously I've got to plug a power supply into it, onto my Endo Sketeton, and when I, in effect, lift my arm, Tiffany will lift her gun arms. When I lower my arm, she will lower her gun arms, simply by moving this in this plane, or whatever I choose to do. It's that simple. It's really, really simple. I am well impressed with that. So that's the gun arm sorted. I'd already got a remote system for spinning the guns up. So I'm going to use that system either with switches. I mean, it could be as crude as that. It could literally be press a switch and the guns fire. So on the end of the skeleton, you can raise and lower your arms, which will lift and lower her gun arms. You press the buttons, that would fire her guns. Or maybe another system, I played around with these flexible resistors, which were really good. So I could put one on a glove, and as I bend my hand, all it does is turn a switch on and off. So it's on or off, or on and off. That will simply spin her gun. So if your hand is open or hand is closed, whichever, the guns spin up. Now, movement is a different thing. I'm not sure about the movement. I'm not sure about, you know, this is a 1/4 of a ton robot. So I don't know whether I need to keep control through the radio. I don't know yet. I'm going to experiment with this. I don't see why another one of these or another axis on this couldn't control rotation, which means it could control her pitch, her rotation, meaning that I've got then lots of axis control. Obviously, I could use one of these to control her head, because that's just 2 servos, pan and tilt. But I want to try something different. Maybe I need a headset that sits on your head, and that when you move your head around, it tracks with the head. I don't know yet. I don't know. But this is phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be, what can we do to control Tiffany with some very interesting, off-the-shelf electronics that isn't going to use massive amounts of coding or more traditional kind of Arduinos or Raspberry Pis, things that I've used in the past. I want to break away from that. I want to come up with something a little bit different, a little bit out of the box thinking. It could be very, very interesting. So stay tuned to phase 2, because you never know what I'm going to come up with.